bring in CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes. She is live right outside where that meeting happened there at the White House. Nancy, have you ever seen anything like this before in your many years of reporting at the White House?
Liz, I was trying to go back and think if I had ever seen a scene like this with a foreign leader. I couldn't recall one. One instance that comes to mind is during his first term, President Trump got into a very heated exchange right there in the Oval Office, very similar setup. That was with Democratic leaders, with Nancy Pelosi, with Chuck Schumer. You'll recall that kind of famous image coming out of that meeting, Nancy Pelosi in her red coat and her sunglasses, kind of doing a little victory walk after she and Schumer had managed to get Trump pretty riled up, and there was a very intense back and forth. That's the only thing that comes to mind. But I think what was different about this situation is that it is literally a life and death conversation that is taking place because it is about the Ukraine war. And in this case, it was 2 against 1, the president and the vice president berating the leader of a foreign country who does not speak English as his first language. In fact, a lot of times, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, when he's doing interviews, when he's giving speeches, he chooses to give them in Ukrainian, and then they are translated because he's obviously not as comfortable with a back and forth in English as Trump and Vance are. And so once this fight really got underway, you could tell that it was difficult for him to get a word in edgewise and to make the points that he wanted to make. The White House is celebrating this moment. They have put the video out on X, the social media company, and the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt posted underneath that video that this is the president and vice president standing up for the American people.
So let's talk a little bit about why President Zelenskyy was at the White House in the first place. He was supposed to sign this rare earth minerals deal and then potentially talk a path to peace with Russia. Any word on the status of what's going to happen with that agreement and where things are now?
That's a great question. As reporters were leaving the room after that incident, one reporter shouted to the president, "Do you think you can still make a deal?" And he said, "We'll see." They are talking behind closed doors right now, so we don't know what the aftermath of this confrontation looks like, and we're also waiting to see if these 2 leaders go ahead with a scheduled news conference that's supposed to take place right after their private meeting wraps up. And we'll get a much better sense once that private meeting is over whether they were able to smooth things over, get this back on track, and whether they're still going to plan to come out in front of the world and speak to reporters about what they've decided. I think what was clear from the conversation in the Oval Office was that what started this was that President Trump really wanted to focus on that minerals deal, what the United States is going to be getting out of it, the fact that he was able to cut this deal with Ukraine, his argument that this is going to be a big help for Ukraine, and the fact that Zelenskyy took the opportunity in front of the cameras to make the case about the need for ongoing security assistance from the United States and why he believes that Vladimir Putin is not someone to be trusted in any kind of negotiation. And that is what kind of set both Trump and Vice President Vance off and led to Vance basically saying that Zelenskyy was being ungrateful and hadn't said thank you once for all the assistance that he has gotten.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier in that special report, it was almost like he was scolding him like a teenager for not saying thank you for the support the U.S. has given Ukraine. Nancy Cordes, we're going to stand by and find out if that press conference and that deal is actually going to happen. Thanks so much for being with us.